Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday night. Hope everybody is feeling right, living well. Hope your week got off to a fantastic start and you're ready to discuss some great news that we saw come out of St. Thomas Sports Park this week with the situation with Julio Jones and some transactions that the Titans made earlier today. The Titans getting a big boost from a lot of results from this bye week off and potentially from the game that's just gone to halftime tonight between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. Tonight we're going to talk about the latest on Julio Jones, a little bit of an update on Derrick Henry, and of course the percentage chance that you give Bills Mafia of pulling off this game as the favorite at home, even though, yours truly bet New England plus the 3 in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Regardless, we've got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of good content to get to. We're looking forward to having you, of course, a part of the proceedings. The thing that I need you to do before we can get things started is share this show, if you would be so kind. Retweet on Twitter in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're hanging out with us on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as I've just done. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch, please do me the kindness of subscribing to the A to Z Sports channel, where you can get all of our great live streamed content 7 days a week. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and begin the show officially. You're going to hear from Ian Rappaport and Titans head coach Mike Vrabel as well. But without further ado, let's get things rolling. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford, the best in the business since 1983. A Bronco broadcast comes your way tomorrow, live from Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, promo code A2Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports. Get you in on all the action in your DraftKings Sportsbook app. Of course, you know that the official real estate agent of the Titans, the Preds, and A to Z Sports Prime Time is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com, and that you can get satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs at Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK, Brymak.com. So, a lot of transactions made at St. Thomas Sports Park today before Mike Vrabel met with the media. Practices will resume, of course, Wednesday, and they'll get back on track for Week 14 hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, before Mike Vrabel took the podium, there were some very important injury updates relating to this Titans team, some transactions that were made and some things that were positive. The biggest, of course, being that Julio Jones, who remains on injured reserve as we sit here today, but along with Racing McMath and Dane Cruikshank, all three of those players were designated to return to practice off of their injured reserve stint. So Julio Jones, Racing McMath, and Dane Cruikshank, they're going to be evaluated throughout the course of this week. And then they will be either cleared this week for Jacksonville, or they will wait and try and get them more up to speed and try to get their feet under them after spending some time away. And in the case of Racing McMath, a considerable amount of time at this point. But Julio Jones is the headliner, as has been the case. And this comes at a critical time, right? The Titans need all of their healthy parts, or all of their parts, all of the playmaking parts to be more specific, as healthy as humanly possible as they make a push. And so to have Julio Jones back, any sign of life really from Julio Jones comes as a positive in this process. Now, along with those transactions, those three players designated to return, they signed Tuzar Skipper, the outside linebacker, to the practice squad. John Simon, another outside linebacker, was released yet again. And Austin Fort, who is a practice squad tight end, he's been on the practice squad reserve COVID-19 list, but he now is restored to the practice squad in good time. So Julio Jones is trending positive, and this, even though he's not available to them just yet, is a major boost for what they're trying to accomplish as a football team. We have no idea whether for the purposes of the Tennessee Titans, Julio Jones is going to be healthy the rest of the year. We have no idea whether he's got one big Julio game left in him. We have no idea how this Julio experiment is going to go. It's simply unpredictable at this point. But I want to start with your Two Rivers Ford take before you hear the latest from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. In the comments on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, which player, not named Derrick Henry, is most important for the Titans to get back on the roster, healthy and ready to go post-bye? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. Which player, not named Derrick Henry, is most important for the Titans to get back in the fold? Give me your response, and we'll talk about it, of course, together, your Two Rivers Ford take, right after I tell you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford, where I'll be tomorrow. We'll do a Bronco broadcast at about 3 o'clock, and we'll talk about the Music City Bowl in Tennessee specifically. But Two Rivers Ford, I'm looking forward to going out there and to discussing a lot of new and exciting things that they have coming to you in the new year. And we know that with this year coming to an end, things have been crazy. Things have been more difficult to come by. Supply chain disruptions have been rampant, whether you're ordering furniture or, in the case of vehicles, it's been tougher to get new vehicle inventory in. But Two Rivers Ford is making sure that you experience no price hikes as a result of that, but simply putting customer service at the forefront. That's what Two Rivers Ford likes to do. They have the Built For You program, which means you can customize any Ford vehicle, any color, any available features, and have the vehicle built specifically for you. And once it's done, once it's manufactured, Two Rivers Ford will deliver it right to your door. It's one of the many reasons why Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business, the best Ford dealership, certainly in the state of Tennessee. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, where I'll be tomorrow, or online at tworiversford.com. So, your Two Rivers Ford take. Who is it most important for the Titans to get back post-bye? Lane Eisenhagen has a really good nomination, and not the first one that I think a lot of people would jump to. Lane says David Long Jr., and that, of course, his absence has been felt for the past couple of weeks. He's been dealing with some injuries, and they need him back as quickly as humanly possible because they have been without Rashaan Evans as well. But the most impactful of those injuries, and remember that Monty Rice is on injured reserve, the most impactful of those injuries defensively, I honestly think, has been David Long. I think that they have suffered quite a bit, certainly in run defense and in coverage, frankly. Without him available on the field, he was one of the best players for this defense, and the defense has still played fairly well without him, but it would go a long way to have him back. And I appreciate everybody saying welcome back. If you didn't join us last night, it's very nice to see everybody. It's great to be back, and I know we're going to have a great finish to the football season together, because I'm not taking any more vacation. I mean, I may not take another vacation until after free agency and the draft are concerned. So we're in it for the long haul, baby, and it's great to have you guys back as well. And I very much appreciate the job that Luke Worsham did. I'm sure you guys treated him well in my absence. So for the Titans, David Long Jr. would be a massive get back. But I think the thing for me, and we'll get to more of your comments shortly, I think the thing for me that is most critical is they just so desperately need a playmaker on offense. I mean, it's been there. It's been so difficult for them to manage. And frankly, I thought they did well in New England. They found explosive plays. Their running game was as productive as we've seen it been really all year long, right? Even pre-Derrick Henry injury. I thought that the offense played as good a football game outside of the struggles in the passing game, of course. The running game was there, and it was doing things effectively until, of course, the fumbles. Ahmad says, let me guess, Buck, A.J. Brown is your answer. No, Ahmad, in fact, you would be incorrect, because in the immediate, The person that they're closest to getting back, who's closest to be available to them, it's not Derrick Henry and it's not A.J. Brown. It's not David Long and it's not Bud Dupree. The person that they're closest to getting back is Quintorez Lopez Jones.
The entire thought process behind putting Julio Jones on injured reserve was, you know what, put him to the side, get the hamstring better, and just fix it. Just go away for 3 weeks and just fix it. And that basically is where the Titans are. They were able to stay in the mix despite obviously no Derrick Henry, despite not having Julio Jones, two of their big guns. Henry coming back later in the season. Jones may end up being back this week. They want to get out there. They want to see him run. They want to make sure he's fully healed and healthy. Mike Vrabel, as you might imagine, not quite into hypotheticals or what-ifs or whatever, wants to see him first before making any decision. But the fact that he is able to have his practice window open, the fact that he is able to get out there and show that he is healthy is a very good sign toward the Titans actually having a fully healthy and real.
So that was Rappaport speaking today about the status of Derrick Henry, or excuse me, the status of Julio Jones and what the Titans' thought process was in placing him on injured reserve earlier in the year. And so far, this is the strategy that they've had to adopt, right? This is something that we all felt them kind of trending towards when the hamstring continued to be a week-by-week proposition. And finally, with the bye week upcoming, they just said, you know what, it's the best possible case at this point to shut him down, to let him get right, to let him get as right as humanly possible. We don't know how much more he's got left in the tank, but damn it, we're going to get as much as we can out of him at this point, and by shutting him down, allowing him more time to recoup. As far as I'm concerned, Julio Jones is one of the most important pieces that they can get back, because A.J. Brown has been good in spurts, but he's also been hugely inconsistent. And I wrote about this at A2ZSports.com. I'm going to give you some numbers on the impact that Julio Jones and, frankly, A.J. Brown have had or not had at various points in this season, and how much of a difference that they can make, even just by the threat of their presence in this offense. I'll do that here in just a second, right after I tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code A2Z Sports. That's A-T-O-Z Sports. In your DraftKings Sportsbook app, if you're a football fan, you know that you love action-packed, high-scoring NFL games. But with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's just that simple. You can also get involved with same-game parlays, which allow you to combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code A2Z Sports. That's A-T-O-Z Sports. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code A2Z Sports this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, Julio Jones is the closest to being available, and by that logic, I think it's important that they get him on the field as much as humanly possible. AJ has 5 drops already, says Tony N. I believe 3 on third down. Well, I don't have the third down numbers specifically, but I do have the drop numbers in front of me. And more specifically, courtesy of Pro Football Focus, I have the number of drops for each receiver that are specifically on the wide receiver, because what Pro Football Focus does so well with the advanced metrics is they determine how many of the drops were on target passes that were simply dropped by the receiver. So Tony said that A.J. Brown has 5. Tony, you are incorrect. A.J. Brown has 7 drops on the season. 7 drops on the season that he is solely responsible for. Catchable passes, on target passes that were dropped by the wide receiver, A.J. Brown. Now, Julio Jones is second on the team in catchable passes that were dropped, on target passes dropped by the receiver. Julio, though, only has 3 to AJ 7. Third, tied for third, is Anthony Ferkser and Chester Rogers. And then you get into Dontrell Hilliard, Josh Reynolds, Marcus Johnson, Jeff Swaim, Jeremy McNichols, all only having 1. But 7, think about that. 7 on-target passes dropped by A.J. Brown, 3 by Julio Jones. But it is critical, absolutely critical, that they get both of these guys back on the field, if nothing else, for the threat of their presence, because the downfield passing game has not been feasible for them at this point. Their average depth of target, when you go through the guys that they're playing with right now, you go through the average depth of target. Des Fitzpatrick, who is currently available to them, has an average depth of target of 14.9 yards, which means that he's getting open down the field, or that they're targeting him on deeper passes, but he's only got 8 targets on the season, as opposed to Julio, who's third on this list, Cam Batson, with fewer targets than so he's got 5 targets to Des Fitzpatrick's 8, because Cam Batson, of course, also ending the year with an injury. Julio Jones is third with 12.4, with an average depth of target of 12.4 yards, then A.J. Brown. But what they've been working with is a massive drop-off to Nick Westbrook-Akina at 9.9, Chester Rogers at 9.4, Michael Pruitt 7.9, and then Cody Hollister 5.8. They're paper cutting. They're trying to paper cut teams to death, and they have not been even threatening in the intermediate levels. It is truly, truly bad. Rodney Watson asks me the question, how is Golden Tate coming along? Well, here's what I'll say to you, Rodney, because Mike Vrabel was, I thought, complimentary of Golden Tate today, but I would say to you that it's hugely telling that he's been on the roster now for over a week, almost north of 10 days, I think, at this point, since the Titans put him on the practice squad. Slew of transactions this morning, and none of them had to do with Golden Tate coming to the active roster. Now, it's entirely possible that Golden Tate ends up on the active roster before Sunday's game against the Jags, and that it just wasn't a part of the plan to bring him up today. And he may not be a 53-man roster spot like to the active roster. He may just be a practice squad elevation on game day, which is possible, allowing him to revert back to the practice squad after the game on Sunday, if they were to call him up. But again, I tell you, it's hugely revealing that he's been on the roster for this amount of time, and that he's not, in their opinion, able to contribute enough to earn a roster spot at this juncture. He remains on the practice squad to this point. Brian Malone wants to know, how many targets does AJ have? It's a good question, Brian. I'll bring up the targets for AJ Brown in relation to the 7 drops. AJ Brown leads the team in targets by a wide margin, 76 targets. It's more than double the next closest player, 76 targets. He's caught 46 passes for 615 yards. He has 3 touchdowns, but again, those 7 drops on target catchable passes by A.J. Brown, by far and away the most by the Titans. Second, as far as targets are concerned, A.J. Brown was 76, Westbrook-Akina with 33, having played. Westbrook-Akina has played in more games than either Julio Jones or A.J. Brown, which tells you everything you need to know about the status of the health of the wide receivers with the Titans. 76 for AJ, 33 for Westbrook-Akina. Julio Jones is third, or tied for third with Chester Rogers, 31 targets apiece. But Chester has gotten 31 targets in 11 games. Julio Jones has gotten as many targets in 6 games. So it's been a slog for this wide receiver core. Again, all of that information courtesy of Pro Football Focus. I signed up. I signed up for their 40% off Cyber Monday, like post Cyber Monday deal, and I got a great deal on the advanced metrics for Pro Football Focus. So I'll start incorporating more of that on social media and in the writing that I do at A2C Sports Dwayne Holiday says, "What's up, Buck? Glad you're back." I'm happy to be back, Dwayne. Thank you. I missed everybody. I hope that you guys enjoyed some time away from me. I know that I can be a lot sometimes, but I'm happy to have everybody back, and I'm certainly happy to be back. Let's move on and let's talk about a Derrick Henry update quickly, because there wasn't a ton of Derrick Henry information that was given to us by the head coach. But I'm going to tell you how the team is feeling about Derrick Henry in just a second. And then you'll hear from Mike Vrabel, not today, but last Monday, with a more informative update on Derrick for you. We will discuss that here in just a second. And I will tell you, I will ask you the question first and foremost. A scale of 1 to 10, how optimistic are you that Derrick Henry will return at some point this season? Please let me know in the comment section, wherever it is that you are consuming us. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of optimism that Derrick Henry will return at some point? Give me your answer, and I'll tell you in the meantime about our friends at Brymak Mechanical, BRYMAK, Brymak.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. 3 locations in Tennessee and in Kentucky. They can do commercial. They can do residential. They can do ductwork to improve your air quality. Brymak Mechanical, the best in the business, and satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs at Brymak.com. So, a lot of questions certainly coming out, I'm receiving a lot of questions. I'm sure everybody in the Titans media corps is receiving a lot of questions about Derrick Henry and where he is at any given point. And I understand, because you want to know he's the best player. He's most of your favorite player, most of your all's favorite player. And you want to know what's happening, even if there's nothing really happening other than the rehabilitation process. Casey James says his optimism level is at a 10. Andrew Frill says 8. Keelan Watson goes with a 10 on YouTube. Tony with an 8. Jameson 10. Abdul says a 4, which is less optimistic, but maybe reasonable. Abdul's just trying to keep his expectations relative rather than get his hopes up. Now, what I'll tell you about this is that we asked Mike Vrabel a week ago today about Derrick Henry. Now, we asked Mike about Derrick Henry today, and what Mike said was, yeah, he's not going to be out there today, is all I can tell you at this point. But, I think he's doing well, was basically the response. So instead, I'll let Mike Vrabel give you a more informative answer like he did last week. There's not been a lot of progress since then, but any time that Derrick Henry can use to get right, certainly over the bye week where everybody's trying to get right, is critical to the process of potentially getting Derrick Henry back. And I'll tell you about that potential momentarily.
Indicated that Derrick would be back around the guys as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. Has he been? Mm-hmm. And where is he in terms of being around and participating with things?
He's on an injured reserve program, so he comes in after, there's a lot of guys. We only have so many tables, or only have so much room in there, and so those guys are spaced out after, when the team meeting starts, those guys usually come in and start their treatment. And then guys, filter through as we, have breaks. And so, I don't see much of a reason to have those guys in meetings right now that don't have usually about a week out, we try to put them, or what we think may be a week out, we start to put them in meetings based on each and every player. But he's around the guys. I see him in the training room and, working hard to do everything he can to get back.
So that's the latest on Derrick. And if you're asking me for a scale of 1 to 10, let me say this on the front end before we get into my number. Mike Vrabel's never going to give you what you want as far as injuries are concerned. He's not interested in doing that. There will be no timetables. There will be no substantial updates on, physical recovery. I mean, I don't think Mike has even ever acknowledged the fact that Derrick broke a bone in his foot. Although I do remember after he was lost for the foreseeable future against Indianapolis, when they placed him on IR, Mike did tell us that he was scheduled to have surgery the next day. All of that to say that, I talked to as many people as humanly possible around that organization, right? And both in doing that and in talking to people who have sustained that kind of an injury as former NFL players, and kind of keeping an eye on DeMarcus Lawrence for the Cowboys, who is coming back from the same injury. Now, albeit a different position, but has come back from the same injury that Derrick Henry has, a Jones fracture. They are optimistic in the building that Derrick Henry will be available to them at some point this season. Now, I can't tell you exactly when that will be. I don't know that anybody can honestly tell you or give you an honest assessment about when exactly that might be. But I would say to you that my confidence level in Derrick Henry returning at some point this season, Adam Schefter is a hugely credible reporter and is better at his job than I may ever be. But I do think that Schefter was premature in saying that he would be done for the year, because right now it is trending towards Derrick Henry returning at some point. And if you're asking me for my level of optimism, I would say to you, as we sit here on Monday, December the 6th, I would say to you an 8. This is something for Derrick Henry that I think is going to be completely feasible. And I don't know why. I don't know who Adam Schefter was talking to. It's, he's not going to divulge his sources, nor should he. And again, Adam is hugely credible, even if you don't like the news that he's reporting. But it does not hold up at this point, given all the information that we have at our disposal and what is being discussed in the building. It's not a fair assessment. It is not at this point an accurate assessment to say that they think he's done for the year. They think that Derrick Henry will be able to return to form in some form or fashion, but they will not give you a timeline regarding that. And so this is where we are in kind of the crossroads for things. So continue to monitor it. I'll try and update you with as much information as I have. Our friend Diana Rossini is going to be on my radio show on Thursday, and we'll talk about Derrick Henry for certain about this at this point. I'm going to ask Diana, and I'll let her know this before, so I don't, I'm not trying to play gotcha on Diana, who's a colleague of Adam Schefter at ESPN. But I want to, because Diana's close to this reporting too. Diana does a great job covering the Titans, and so I'm going to be curious to ask her, understanding that Schefter's reporting is his own and that Diana's not there to answer for Schefter, does Diana feel like things are trending towards Derrick Henry being done for the year? Because it does not seem to be the most accurate assessment of the situation at this point. Schefter getting out there first with season over seems premature. Orlando Jones says, if anybody read the piece Teron did on Air 8, the trainer, most of these guys, I have faith 22 will be back at full strength. Yeah, I actually know Adam Bobo, who owns Air 8 Nashville. And it's a really interesting article that Teron wrote, because TD and I were talking about this for some reason, and I'm glad that he decided to. In fact, I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit that I didn't do it, because I know Adam Bobo, and I know that a lot of these guys. Hell, I myself signed up for, or before vacation was looking at signing up for an Air 8 Nashville membership, because not that I'm any kind of professional athlete, of course, but my body very much requires a lot of extra help after workouts, and I don't know why. I've got issues with my knee and my back that are driving me crazy, and the work that Bobo does is phenomenal. So, but yes, a lot of these guys across many different NFL teams, right? Rob Gronkowski, Harold Landry, Taylor Lewan, a lot of, there's NHL players, Adrian Peterson while he was here. Now, maybe it didn't do Adrian Peterson all the good in the world, but still, it's Bobo does a great job with these guys. And so, between that and the recovery that he's undergoing in the Titans facility, things seem to be progressing as best as humanly possible at this point. I would tell you that that this is something for the Titans that is a positive development. Let's wrap things up, and let's talk about, as we get about halfway through the third quarter of this Bills-Patriots game, 11-7. Oof, I hope all of you bet the under. I bet the Patriots +3. Even though I know Titans fans don't want that result for my financial well-being. I didn't place a ton of money on it. I only put like $20 on it, but still, I was shocked to see the Patriots as a underdog in this game, and they shouldn't be. But Josh Allen and the Bills are driving right now, so we'll see how things go. The question that I want to ask you to wrap up the show is this: what percentage chance do you give the Bills of beating the Patriots tonight? So we're under 9 minutes to play in the third quarter as the primetime show. If you're watching the primetime show live, I know a lot of you catch this via the podcast or watch it via replay after the fact. But what percentage chance do you give the Bills to beat the Patriots tonight? Let me know in the comment section. Looks like they had a shot to Diggs in the end zone. Josh Allen looks like he's frustrated. I haven't seen the replay yet. We'll keep an eye on it. Looks like he may have missed him. An out and up route. Diggs in the end zone. Oh, he had him wide. Oh, what happened there? Did he just drop it? It looks like he didn't see the ball. That's a touchdown. I think that's on Diggs. I don't think Josh Allen could have thrown that ball much better. My God, they're not going to win against the Patriots missing wide open touchdown passes like that from 45 yards out. Good God, that was really, really bad. That's a nice throw by Josh Allen. Anyway, what percentage chance? Let me know. And while you guys do that, I'll tell you about our friends at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, the official real estate agent of the Tennessee Titans, of the Nashville Predators, and of me on A to Z Sports Prime Time. Gary Ashton is the best in the business for a great many reasons, but most importantly, because they will work. The Ashton team, Gary and the Ashton team will work to make sure that you find the best place for your budget and for your family's needs. Gary Ashton will give you the best intel to win the buyer battle in Middle Tennessee, because it is a battle if you are trying to purchase real estate in Nashville. You understand this. But also, if you're trying to maximize your profits and sell your home for more, because it is a seller's market. And if you want to get involved with this, the Ashton team is the place to go, because they will put you in the best possible position to succeed with the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. So, what percentage chance do you give the Bills of winning tonight? Stephen Kim Sheridan says 65%. Mac Jones can't play in the cold, it looks like, so 65 for Carl. 65-70 says Anthony El Mono, I think, forgive me if I mispronounce it, is going with a toss-up, a coin flip at 50%. 58% for Eddie Cardona. Stephon Diggs dropping that ball puts them in a much more difficult position, but it looks like there has just been a flag against the Patriots on a Josh Allen play. Maybe unnecessary roughness on the quarterback. It looks like that might be the case, 15-yard penalty. So the Bills are being set up in scoring position. It will be important because, remember, the Patriots are up 11-7 right now. They got a touchdown. They went for 2. They got the 2 and then tacked on a field goal. So they're sitting here at the 20 right now. 3 wide receivers to the left and a running back to Josh Allen's left as well. There's just there was a handoff just now, and the Patriots snuffed that out in short order. I would say to you that not just because I am financially invested in the Patriots winning tonight, but I don't bet against Bill Belichick, and especially in AFC East games. I think that the Patriots are going to end up winning this game, and that's not a good thing for the Titans. In fact, as a 3-point underdog, I'm certainly invested in the Patriots winning this game tonight, or at least covering the spread. But the Titans, of course, want the Patriots to lose so that they can reclaim their top spot in the AFC. It's been a great bye week for the Titans. They didn't have to play a football game, and just because the Ravens lost, they were able to advance from the 3 seed to the 2 seed, and the Raiders losing helps their cause. They would have loved to see a Denver win over Kansas City, but did not achieve that result. And the Bengals losing to the Chargers helps things as well. Keelan says, Buck, let's spend the rest of the show watching the game together. You want me to do some play-by-play? I've never done play-by-play in my life. I don't think I'd be very good at it. I don't think I could be a broadcaster in the booth. My attention span is way too short for any of this, and I would botch it right now, especially with that's a weird personnel grouping looks like from Buffalo. I don't necessarily know how I would have described that, but Josh Allen is incomplete on 3rd and 7. So they are going to, it looks like, kick the field goal. I don't know that I would go for it. Are they staying on the? No, they're not staying on the field. They're going to kick the field goal, even though the conditions in Buffalo are quite poor at this point. At least the rain has stopped. So they will attempt a field goal at this point to try and make it a 1-point game, trailing by 1 if they do make the field goal. 4th and 7 is what they're looking at right now. Now, this kicker is 15 for 15. If you're looking at the stats on ESPN, it's a 35-yard attempt for the Buffalo kicker. And we watch to see if it's good. Oh, he just barely squeaked it in there. 11-10, 3rd quarter, 6:35 remaining at this point on Monday Night Football. That's my best play-by-play impression, and we'll leave it at that. So I don't think they're out of it. I think the Patriots will end up winning it, but Mac Jones doesn't look very good right now. The defense, though, is playing well, and the bad conditions favor the offense because, of course, the offense knows where they're going with the football. But I think it's sloppy for both teams at this point, and certainly that Diggs drop touchdown pass is not going to help things, not going to help morale at this stage. KC James says, Buck is ruining the game for me. I'm delayed. LOL. Well, you know, I'm like the only person my age that has a cable package, right? And if you watch Bussin' with the Boys or listen to Bussin' with the Boys, you know that my cable package is a tax write-off. So it's the only reason I have a full-on cable package, like I'm basically my parents' age. Anyway, I'm gonna give him a 45% chance to beat the Patriots tonight. Again, not just because I bet on the Patriots, but because I believe the Patriots to be a superior team at this point and a better coached team at this point. Steven says, Buck, you look more tired since your vacation. Well, Steven, because my vacation was not a vacation. My vacation was 42 hours of flying for 2 days spent in Egypt. It was to visit family that I'm probably not going to see again for a long, long time. And so, if I look exhausted, it's because my vacation wasn't time off. It was well spent, and I'm glad that I went because it's been some time since I've been over to Egypt. But yeah, 42 hours of plane travel total there and back is not an ideal situation. Anyway, great to be back, regardless of how tired I look. Thank you for that's just it's a more polite way for Stephen King, not that Stephen King, but Stephen King on YouTube telling me that I look like shit, but it's okay. I appreciate that, Stephen, because I'm happy to be back with you guys regardless. Okay, we will wrap things up for the evening. We will be back at it tomorrow, earlier tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central Time. We wanted to wait till halftime to get as many of you as humanly possible, and we thank you for hanging out with us, of course. We will be back on the radio show tomorrow. Mike Golick Jr. is going to be a part of the show. We are going to have winners and losers of the football weekend. We're going to have Will Compton on Wednesday. We're going to have Diana Rossini on Thursday. We're going to have a Titans player on Thursday as well. So make sure that you're listening to the radio show from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Or if you are not available during those hours, that's okay. We have a podcast that you can check out in the comments section or in your favorite podcast app. Oh, Keelan says, I'm watching in the mother and child unit. Just had a baby boy last night. Many congratulations to Keelan. I hope that mom and the baby boy are resting well and are healthy and that everything went as smoothly as humanly possible. I don't have children. I have no idea what that experience is like. I imagine it to be hugely stressful. So I'm hoping that everything went well for you, Keelan, and we're very happy that you shared that news with us tonight. Congratulations to you and to your to your new family, to your growing family. That's really, really cool to see. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. We will talk to you on the radio show tomorrow or on